Welcome to the Tuesday, January 7th, Air Shirley Regional School Committee meeting. Those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by APAC and ASRSD. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chairperson, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Mass Wiretap statute. Listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. Per our policy BEDH, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens in the school committee. It's an opportunity to express an opinion on issues of school committee business. Citizens will have 3 minutes to express their views. Any staff members addressing the committee are reminded of their obligations under state and federal student record laws with respect to maintaining the confidentiality of student record information and refrain from disclosing any personally identifying information regarding students. With that, let's say the pledge and get started. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Mr. Bresnahan?
Here.
Mrs. Bernard?
Here.
Mr. Quinty?
Here.
Mrs. Rishu? Mr. Ruprecht?
Here.
Ms. Spann?
Here.
All right. With that, we'll turn to public comment. Michelle, do we have anyone called in?
No.
Great. All right. Liz?
Elizabeth Johnson from Shirley, Massachusetts. I have two things that I wanted to ask about. One is I thought I was going to be getting an email about teacher union negotiations, scheduling of it, and maybe it's going to be discussed today, the schedule.
The contract negotiations aren't being discussed. Yeah, Adam.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
I will be emailing the town managers tomorrow to let them know that the first meeting of actually negotiating will be next Monday at 3:30
Yes.
at Laura A. White Library.
Thank you. And is there a process for myself to be able to attend? I know it's in person, you said.
We extend the invitation to the town managers,
Okay.
and then how whoever gets chosen would be up either to the select board or whatever process the town manager has declared. And it will be a observation role, not a participating.
And then my second question is, I've gotten a lot of feedback, or there's been a lot of discussion about the new cell phone policy based on the middle school kids' experiences. And I know that a survey went out to parents. I did not have an opportunity to participate in it, not due to any fault of the administration, it's just my inability to get to it on time. And now that it's in place, I wasn't sure, I wanted to ask if there was plans for any more discussion on it, like to hear, I was thinking that it might have been more constructive to hear parental feedback in person rather than on a survey. And I didn't know if there was going to be any more dialogue since there's some rather strong opinions about it now that's being implemented.
So we are going to talk about the cell phone policy to some extent today during the superintendent's report. In terms of further, I know there's been opportunities for in-person and there are opportunities for parents to come in and engage with the administration over the course of the winter, fall as we were putting together the policy. We are certainly planning to review the policy over the course of the spring. We would like to give it more than 2 days before we do that, because as with any policy or procedure, it takes time to implement. So we'll get an update, I'm sure, today in the superintendent's report. There will be more opportunities this spring. They're not scheduled yet because, yeah, it's just not scheduled yet. Yeah. And I would just, yeah, and Adam, I don't know if you want to give a plug to Liz, folks watching at home, in terms of opportunities for families to, I know there are in-person meetings with the cabinet, lunches, coffees, those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to plug those as places for feedback or engagement.
We do offer coffee with cabinet 3 times a year. There will be one coming up. We will have something, we can certainly have something in person for cell phones, just for cell phones. We are planning on collecting feedback from students, parents, and teachers. Survey, we will use the survey, but we can certainly schedule some in person. And we report out to the school committee 3 times this year, so if we look to make changes going into next year, we're well informed. I think it is important to note that this isn't that different as far as for the middle school about when kids can actually use their phones, which is they can't. The one difference is that they are turning it in instead of keeping it in their backpack. I think a lot of people under the impression that middle school kids, or most middle school kids, kept phones in their backpacks and phones weren't out. That wasn't the case. Students were using their phones every day. In the cafeteria, in the hallway, we were dealing with it in class. There's a large problem at the middle school with dealing with social media, kids using social media during the day to contact other students, and there is some social media bullying happening at the middle school, at the high school also, but the social media aspect of inappropriate behavior during the school day was much more prevalent at the middle school. So we will absolutely have an opportunity for feedback, and we plan on making changes about what is and is not working. And actually, I will get into some more detail about the rollout at the middle and high school.
Yep.
In the superintendent's report.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, Chris, I apologize. So I just want to get clarity because the sound's just a little muffled for me. So is this just with the question about having more parent input on the cell phone policy? Is that correct? I'm just...
Yep, that's right. So there was a question about, will there be opportunities, in-person opportunities for feedback on the cell phone policy? And so I asked Adam to share the opportunities that, again, there's some that we know of because of the sort of pre-scheduled, thanks, Kevin. Because of the pre-scheduled coffees with the cabinet, there's sort of built-in opportunities. Anyone watching, feedback is always welcome at the start. You know, again, folks have 3 minutes at the start of every school committee meeting, joined by Zoom or in person. And yeah, so that was the question and the response from Adam.
We can get that scheduled and sent out. We'll put that in the weekly update. For Monday, I imagine probably right before February vacation would be enough of a dipstick to see how it's really working.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, and you guys could have said it, so I apologize that I'm slowing you down a little bit. But just for the purpose of the meeting minutes, I would like to highlight that between the weekly updates that's provided by the administration, the survey that went out for the administration, and our meeting agenda that's posted at both public interfaces, parents have had numerous opportunities for quite some time to provide feedback. So as much as we try to engage with the public, the onus would be to, maybe focus on the information in the myriad of ways that we're providing it. Given that we do have the in-person forum in the beginning, we have surveys, and we've been reviewing them for quite some time, but I'm really only saying that just because I know Michelle can, paraphrase on the meeting minutes.
All right. Thank you, Erica. I'm assuming no one has joined the Zoom ready to jump into public comment?
No.
All right, with that, I'd ask us to move to the consent agenda, where we have the minutes from December 18th, as well as 2 warrants. Any questions or discussion?
I'd make a motion to approve the December 18th, 2024 meeting minutes and the AP warrant and payroll warrant as stated on the agenda.
Any further discussion? None?
Second?
Nope, great. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Moving on to new business, 6A, update on athletic program.
Hi. Got a girls' basketball game going right now, so I guess I'll start there. Good news is we've got our JV program with the girls' basketball team for the first time in 3 years. So that's fantastic that our numbers are back up and appear to be moving in the right direction. We have 5 seniors on the team this year, but we've got 15 on the middle school, 9 on our JV team, and another 8 on the varsity team that are underclassmen. So that's a real positive for our girls' basketball program. And right now, they're at halftime, they're up 16 points, so that's always nice too. So things are moving in the right direction this week with girls' basketball in the season with girls' basketball. On the boys' side, things are going great. It's a really senior-laden team. They're doing really well. 6-1 currently. We have 2 players approaching the 1,000-point plateau for their career. Hopefully they'll make it before the end of the season, but Zach Iannacone and Tommy Bergen are both nearing 1,000 points for their career, which is a great accomplishment, and to have 2 do it possibly in 1 season will be pretty remarkable. The boys also have a pretty busy week. They played last night. They play at Murdoch tomorrow night. They're home Friday night here against Bromfield. On Saturday, as part of the Andrew James Larson Foundation day at TD Garden, the boys will be playing Waltham at 5:30 at TD, so it'll be a good opportunity for our kids, obviously, but also for everybody to get kind of courtside if you want to go. Tickets are $25, covers all day. There's 8 high school basketball games there that day. And Coach Rick Kilpatrick did a nice job setting that whole thing up. He had done it when he was the coach at Acton Boxborough. Asked if it was something we'd be interested in. I said, absolutely, it's a great opportunity for our basketball players, but also for our cheerleaders who will be attending as well. So I'll talk about cheerleading for a minute. Talk about a program that's shown some growth. We had 9 in the fall. We have 17 this winter. So our coaching staff has done a nice job of recruiting new kids into the program. And for the first time since 3 years ago, we have more Air Shirley students on the team than Bromfield students. It's always been more Bromfield than Air Shirley. So that's a great thing for our program. So congratulations to our coaches, Jordan Weatherwalks and Bella Tremblay, who've done a really wonderful job bringing in new cheerleaders. Our esports team starting up their winter season in the next week or 2. They have something exciting going on. They're going to be doing some fundraising for an organization called Extra Life, which provides video games for kids at Boston Children's Hospital, and they'll be kicking that off at the end of the month. And their goal is $1,000 to raise for that. So some great community service being done by both our middle school students and high school students, along with their coaches. Our track team, I mean, pretty much what I always say what track is, they're kind of just rolling along. Lots of PRs, lots of state qualifiers already. They're going to be at Shrewsbury tomorrow night, and then they've got some kids running at Reggie over the weekend. You know, big congratulations to Cole New, one of our seniors who just committed to UNC Wilmington to run track there. It's a Division I program. As someone who's here all summer, I can attest that I've seen Cole here every day the last 2 summers doing 400s in 90-degree heat out there just to prepare. So he's really worked hard for that, so he deserves a lot of credit. Congratulations for that commitment to UNC Wilmington. So congrats to Cole.
Credit to his uncle.
Yes, great job by his uncle. Obviously, that's where he got his fighting skills from. The boys hockey team's off to one of their best starts in recent memory. They're 5-1-1. We've got many of our students participating and doing well. Tyler Sears, the team's goaltender, has been outstanding to start the year. Colin Holbrook and Dylan Gibbons have been contributing regular minutes and scoring points for that team. They tied the defending Division IV state champs the other night, so they've got a real opportunity to do well. The JV team is also doing well. We've got 11 kids total participating in the ice hockey program. It's by far the biggest, well, that and swimming are the 2 biggest co-ops that we have where we're sending kids over there. Girls hockey, we do have 3 participating there. They're off to a 4-3 start. Carly Iwa is nearing 100 career points there. Lauren Goddard's a freshman on the team, and she's been getting a substantial amount of playing time. Swimming and like track, it's almost the same thing. They're off to a really good start and they're doing really well. We've got 11 swimmers there. All of them, like 7 of them already qualified for states. I've been told by the new swim coach over there, we have a couple that have a potential state championship this year on our swim team from our school. So they're doing great. Bromfield's a great partner there for us. They do a wonderful job. Unfortunately, a new coach this year, so getting information has been sporadic, but getting better, because that's always a work in progress when you get a new coach. Our wrestling program, we're up with North Middlesex this year. We had 2 students participating, and from all reports, that's going extremely well. The kids are enjoying it, they're doing well, they're improving, and getting a lot of time in there. And same with our gymnastics program with Groton Dunstable. They're off to a really strong start, and I've been told by their coach that our freshman who's participating is a major player in that. So congrats to her. And then our unified mini golf just kicked off yesterday. We have little mini golf things that we use in PE that we set up all around the school. They were coming down the ramp yesterday, they go down the hallways. Now they're all over the place. We have 15 people participating in that, which is also the most we've had there. So there's a lot of good things with our numbers, continue to improve. Where a lot of other schools, their numbers are decreasing, we seem to still be increasing in most of our sports, or maintaining at least, because it's something like track. We used to have, some of you have been here long enough to remember, we used to have a middle school waiver for our track team because we didn't have enough kids for track. We're at 70 kids just from the high school on our indoor track team. And that, again, credit to our coaches for doing a great job of recruiting there. And the girls basketball team also, I forgot about this. We just figured this out yesterday actually, but we're gonna be participating in a Kids for Cancer game at the end of the month when we play Bromfield. So they'll be wearing special shirts, and it's in honor of a 6-year-old girl from Sutton who has cancer that we're one of like 8 games in the sky that'll be happening in honor of her.
What was the score when you left?
It was 27-11 at the half. So hopefully second half continues to go in that direction. But that's about it for sports right now. Things are going well. It's been a really, really smooth fall and winter so far. So hopefully that continues. Questions, Mr. Monti?
I know that it's like have our state championship golf banner up there.
That's coming. We're working on that.
We're working on that, but if they ever get to the league champion.
The vendor has been moving slowly.
Good.
So
I just
we're
wanted
working
to-
on it because we're trying to figure out the measurements and exactly what we want to say on it. So.
I'll just see that go up. But I brought in my 1974 Wachusett League champs.
Nice.
So we can, if they ever do, because you must have a spring of league championships that you can.
5 in a row in the league right now.
I know, yeah.
So it's good.
It's fine.
You know, Jamie Lamro and Justin Lamro told me how much of a powerhouse we were in golf in the 70s.
Yep, the way back, so it's on.
He said
I
there's
just want
actually
to make
more-
sure that you give us a heads up before you put the state championship banner. It's been a while since we've seen that.
Yes, I said it's been a few years since we've had one, and for golf it's been a long time. So.
Right.
But Justin had told me we have more pro athletes that come out from golf than we did for football. So, from the 70s, that's a good thing. Our golf program is really strong, and it should continue to be. We've got really good numbers with our golf program. Coach Kubelin, he's done a nice job there. Any other questions about the update? Awesome. Always good to come. Now, I guess user fees next. Want to jump into the user?
Yeah, now we get to move on to
Now, let's
the,
decide which one to go first with.
Yeah.
So, lots of good news with the sports report. Now, and you know, one of the drawbacks to having so many kids participate is obviously cost increase with that. Busing it's a lot for busing. And in the state tournament, though, I think a wonderful opportunity for kids to be able to travel and play different schools. You know, when you have a bus to Hull on a Saturday afternoon, that's a high cost. And our user fees are no longer covering what those bus costs and the official costs. The official costs go up 3% every year. Next year, they're going up 5%. Luckily, we don't pay for the ice hockey officials, but the ice hockey officials are going up possibly as much as 10 or 11%. So officials are getting more money, buses are costing more money, and you know our user fees are very low, and even with a proposed increase, it'll only bring us to a level of, say, a Lunenburg or a Littleton, and far less than a Groton Dunstable or a Neshoba Regional or a Bromfield. So the proposal would be going to $250 per season, which with talking with Mr. Plunkett, we believe will cover the increased costs in transportation as well as officials, or at least get us a lot closer to that number than we are currently. And that would bring us in line with Littleton and Lunenburg, which both 250 a season and both anticipate increases. And Groton currently is 500 per season with no family cap, and I believe we said our family cap would be 750, Bill?
That's what we initially had said, yeah.
A family cap is 750, so it would not impact large families very much, or if at all, really. If you have 3 kids playing, it's gonna be pretty much the same as you pay now. Which was, we were kind of trying to be aware of, because there are a lot of large families here, and I think that would be a massive increase for some of those. Right now, we have a family of 4 students who play 3 sports. That would be a pretty significant increase for a family like that. So we tried to keep that in mind as we were going through these numbers.
Kevin?
Can you remind, what is it now?
It's $250 for the year, the entire school year. And $150 for the middle school. And I would say, when we do this, I would suggest that it's the same, because the middle school, to be honest with you, the middle school costs exactly same amount as it does. The officials make the same, the buses are the same. The middle school soccer team actually played more games than the JV girls soccer team this year, so it's because there's more teams playing there. So I think it's not much of there's definitely not $100 per kid difference in the amount of money spent on middle school sports as there are high school sports.
So
And I looked at other schools and they do the same thing. It's just kind of a flat fee for all. If you're playing a sport, that's what it is.
So the proposal would be for the coming year, going from right now it's 250 flat, or was going to be going 250 flat. We're now saying it would be up to 750 for a student who's playing 3 sports. And then at that point, if there's 2 students per family, again, they're capped at 750 for the year, or 750 per season?
Yep, 750. It's 750 for the year, so the family cap is 750.
Okay.
So if all 3 kids play a fall sport, they'd be done.
Okay.
Now, just to put this in some perspective, I don't know if any of you have kids that play youth sports, but 750 would probably not even cover one travel baseball team. Certainly doesn't cover hockey. I'm not sure what basketball costs. So, I mean, even at 750, it's a great deal if you're playing 3 sports as compared to what parents are paying for these outside organizations. It's not the days of Little League and Babe Ruth and rec league basketball where it was $50 for a season. The cost of athletics is outrageous, and we've been subsidizing it for quite a long time. What was about 100,000 this year we're going to be subsidizing?
Last year, we spent 150,000 out of the revolving fund. That's mostly user fees. And then this year, we got about 50,000 for fall sports for user fees, and we spent it all already. So the revolving fund is basically depleted. Hopefully, with the winter and the spring registrations, we'll have a little bit more. But with that one and done for the year, we're just not going to get much more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So
We also made about $3,000 on the MIA games over here. That just
Yeah.
brought that check over last week, so not this week, actually Monday. So that'll
When
just put
we-
a little dent into it, but not a lot.
When we communicate out this change, will we include some of that? Because I mean, on just the face of it, obviously, this is a very large increase, going from 250 to, and for a lot of families, 750.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have an explanation around, we've depleted these funds and we've been subsidizing, and we're just no longer in a position to subsidize.
We can put information about the cost of transportation as to now as compared in the past. And I don't know if we can certainly add what our neighboring districts are charging for sports which is substantially more right now. Next year, we would be in line with.
Yeah, with Lunenburg and Littleton,
Yeah.
it'll be the same what they're doing right now. And I know both of them are discussing possible increases. And Groton is double what we're even asking to do for next year.
It's, I mean, the fees for the referees and umpires certainly contribute to this, but it's the transportation
Yeah.
that is driving this.
The referees ones are manageable. Like a 3% increase for referees is what they do, more than reasonable. Believe me, I don't think they're overpaid by any stretch of the imagination. Especially in sports like basketball and then soccer, where they can get a lot of flack from parents, I'll say, or fans. I won't say parents because it could be just fans in general.
Something else that's contributing to this is we offer a lot of sports for such a small school. So we have to look at that too. We would rather keep the offerings and allow everyone to play the sport they've been playing at a greater cost, However, we're going to have to, if this gets approved, we're going to have to watch this, because if participation drops, we're going to have to figure that out, right? Do we lower the fee and offer, have less choices? Right.
Is there kind of a process, if this is quite a hardship on a family, is there, a process where they can apply for some type of exemption, or if they don't pay, is the kid not eligible to play on a sport?
We do now, it would really depend on how many people need assistance, but we do now, when people need assistance, we ask them to fill out the income verification form that would actually help us with Title I, and then we try to find a way to allow students to play. And I don't believe we have let anyone not play because of
We usually work
finances.
something out. The student will come do work after school, help us have basketball games a couple times, they'll work off, like, things that I would normally pay something, like, they'll sell tickets, like tonight. I wish I had one of them there, and thanks to Dr. Renner for stepping up and selling a couple tickets for me tonight while I was doing announcements. But yeah, sometimes just having them work it off. But if people contact me, we've done payment plans, we've done, come do some work, we've done community service stuff to kind of balance off those things. Because we know there are people who may not necessarily qualify for a free and reduced lunch that may also be struggling at the same time.
We have, not for athletics, but I know that we have reached out to people to sponsor a child for extended day program, for a field trip. We would certainly do that also. And there are people who are willing to sponsor a kid for sports.
And I would not want to
I
see
would
us
certainly
become a
sponsor a
situation
child
where
for a
we're
sport.
eliminating kids from participating, certainly. And that's a concern, obviously, when you raise user fees.
I'm going to apologize because I feel like I've asked these questions before and I never seem to retain them. I believe, do we charge a different fee for hockey than we do other sports?
not.
We do not.
And,
Did we talk about that at the last meeting, or am I
We did
hallucinating?
discuss that
Okay.
possibilities moving forward.
And I think the follow-up there is, like, is it possible, and I'm looking mostly to you, but, like, can we see the difference in cost? Like, does golf cost as much as hockey, as much as cheerleading? I'm assuming the answer is no. I don't know how wide the range is.
We can look at the general ledger reports, and you can see the detail.
Okay.
I'm looking right at the building rental one that's included in your packet, and there's the fall ice hockey is on here. $8,525. So it's about $300 or $400 an athlete.
Through Lunenburg, we pay about $700 per athlete.
700.
Leominster's a little bit more, but
Okay.
Leominster doesn't charge user fee to the kids. So Lunenburg, the ice hockey is such an expensive sport.
Right.
Our kids are fairly lucky that Leominster doesn't charge them a user fee on top of what they pay here, but we subsidize that, which is tough sometimes when you get that bill at the end of the season. Sometimes it comes in June, which is not the best time to get it. I always remind them, can you send that a little earlier so I can?
But none of that will be a shock to hockey parents.
No.
They're
Right.
used to cost and travel.
Yeah.
Chris, we do have a bridge plan using the building rental, and we discussed it briefly at a prior meeting. I think Joyce Reshoots wanted to see that broken out. So I've created a budget of $50,000 specifically for athletics out of building rental.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that to bridge through this year.
Okay.
And we'll have this budget available for you to look at. There's about $200,000 in that fund right now. So we'll plan on using 50,000 of it for athletics.
Yeah. Okay. And I know the goal was, I believe we're looking to vote on this today. I don't know where other folks are at. I mean, this feels like a big impact on families. Like, I mean, to the point earlier in public comment, in terms of we've collected more feedback on cell phones versus potentially charging families an extra $500 a year. Seems like something that is worth some conversation, even just from like putting it out there from a, like, look, if we want to maintain the programs we have today, this is what it's going to be, and just making folks aware on the front end versus something on the back end where it's like, hey, on a Tuesday night with one person in attendance, we tripled your user fees. Again, I don't know if there's a majority here that could vote a different way, but I don't know that I'm like.
Do we pause while Erica's on?
Yeah.
Is she muted or?
So it is $250 per sport for each athlete, so they may choose to only play one or two.
Sure, exactly, yeah. But right now, it's, you have $250, it's a all-you-can-play menu.
Right.
Versus, now you're like, do I really want to, I wasn't going to do cheerleading, but
For the
Yeah.
size of the program, we're not bringing in the revenue to that revolving fund. That's
right, exactly. And so I
We
think the
depleted
question-
it last
yeah.
year.
We can absolutely get some feedback. We can do a survey. We can do something in person. I can guess how that's gonna.
Oh, I'm sure that people are going to say, I don't want to do it. I
But,
think the question is going to be, do you want to do this? Or I'm
Right,
presuming
so-
the alternative is you
exactly.
cut sports.
Right. The reality is we wouldn't be able to offer as many sports.
Right. And I think that is the sort of transparent conversation that's just worth having on the front end.
Sure.
We could kind of publish or put together the costs of surrounding towns. I mean, I have brothers and sisters in Groton, Dunstable, and they couldn't believe how little we pay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and
We have
again,
all that
it's-
information.
yeah.
That'd be very easy to put together. We could send that out. I would say collect it in a survey first, and then based on those results.
Yeah, or information
Yeah.
night. I don't know. It just feels like a.
I think that just publishing, where we are relative to everybody, I mean, we're trying to, soon we'll be building a budget, right? You have to have some place, some idea what's gonna happen. I don't think this is gonna change what we're doing, but people will get a little bit upfront so they'll understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. But I don't, just taking a look at the numbers, you don't have any other options, right? So I think this is where we're gonna be, but I don't think we have to be there tonight.
Right.
We can just get some stuff up so people are accustomed to it, and then the next or the following meeting, we move forward, because this is all gonna be in effect next year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why don't we put something together to present to at the next meeting, and we can send it out the following day with
Yeah.
the school committee
That'd be
sponsor.
good.
That would be.
Good?
And
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
is there any, in the weekly update or something, do we highlight that we're going to be discussing this increase in the next school committee meeting? Does
Yeah.
public
If
comments opportunity?
public comment, if you want to hear the discussion, please join. And again, I appreciate that we're between a rock and a hard place, right? Like, again, we want to offer as many sports as possible. We want as many students in sports as possible. And we have limited funds. Like, we're going into teacher negotiations. There's other things that we know we have sort of on our plate to figure out. So
We're very lucky with what we can offer for sports, extracurricular, and even our course selection during the day. For being a school of 400 high school students, we offer the same type of courses as much larger schools. And the same with sports and athletics. It's part of what makes this a special place. So we want to continue that. But at this point, we'd have to subsidize that with a teaching position, right? So, but we can absolutely get that in a presentation so people can understand that better.
great. Erica, sorry.
That's okay. I think I might have a combination of a couple of things that have already been said, but I was thinking similarly along the lines to what Kevin said, where even in the weekly update, if it says, where you have the, school committee's next meeting, and it says the school committee is inviting, parent input on the sports fees. But the only other thing I was thinking is the information, because Steve, you give such good information around, what the other schools are charging and what we're looking at doing, kind of giving them a comparison ahead of time was kind of what I was thinking. So that way parents who are interested, that way they have two mechanisms. I think I heard Adam say something about a survey, but either way, at least that way we kind of give two vehicles or modalities for parents to take in quick information and provide quick information. That was it.
My suggestion would be if we're going to have a community forum where there can be questions and for us to respond, that we actually hold that forum before the school committee meeting and not during public comment, because we really aren't supposed to
Yes,
respond
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So we can absolutely set that up.
Yeah, if you want to, and again, take it with a grain of salt, it's a suggestion,
Yeah.
but I do think it would be helpful to give folks an opportunity to both hear, provide input, and to Jim's point, I imagine this is where we land, because I don't think anyone sees a teacher who has nothing to do with this, right? Like, so we know that we're going to need to find a way to supplement this, but I think giving families an input opportunity is helpful. I know it's easier to have you join meetings when we're here. Our next meeting is at the middle school, so if we wait till February 4th, so long as that gives you all enough time in terms of like having this voted on, we could do it then or the meeting after.
We just need this voted on, if I'm not mistaken, just before the end of the school year.
Okay. So either
Yeah,
the first meeting in February or first meeting in March, whenever it works, but let's.
Yeah, it just needs to be before July 1st.
Great. We can do that. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, we'll let you get back to girls basketball.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks as always.
Feel free to stop by again whenever you're available.
Yeah. All right. Bill, building rentals.
Well, I think we just went over that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Any questions? I do think that was a question from Joyce.
Yep.
That kind of spun off from the fund balances that we did a couple of meetings ago. So I did build a budget that we'll keep an eye on that. We don't want to go over on the building rental because we may have to use that for some field maintenance and stuff in the spring.
And so this, okay, great. And this is what we're bringing in being allocated for, we're essentially going to put this money towards sports in the spring.
Yeah, the athletics were funded in the building rental fund, but with a separate set of accounts, so we could track it.
Jim?
Bill, do we have a turf maintenance contract for the outfield of the baseball field and for the girls softball field outfield?
We didn't purchase a contract, but we have a policy or procedures for the field and the process we need to follow for keeping it in shape as far as the natural grass.
All internally?
We're going to try. We have a couple different local landscapers that are consulting with us. So the field, I don't know if you had noticed the field this fall, but it needed some work.
Yeah.
And some changes need to be made. For instance, there were some parts in the outfield, but even in the infield, if you notice, like the grass goes all the way to the fence in the infield, which and actually I think around the whole field, which makes it much harder to maintain. So we're trying to create. We've created a maintenance plan for the field that we believe we can take care of internally. But if we need to pull in some of, we have two different landscapers that we use now. We will pull them to do that. But some changes need to be made in that baseball and softball field to make the actual day-to-day maintenance easier.
Right.
Having clay against the fence, for instance, having a batter's box that's clay and not grass, because if you're just swinging on grass, you're tearing it up, and then it looks awful. So I mean, it looked great, and then because of not design flaws, but just things that I think were probably overlooked at the time, we need to go in and make some corrections.
Because I know that some of the applications you have to be licensed to apply. So just as long as you have a plan looking towards that and you have the right people to consult on buying it,
we're looking to do some other things. So the whole really facility, like the plantings, I think it's seagrass.
Yeah.
We have, they're beautiful. However, extremely time conducive to maintain. So we're looking at a long-term plan of getting rid of some grass where we can get rid of grass and have some covering. So something that doesn't need to be mowed once a week, but will still look appropriate. For instance, there's grass in this area in front of behind the field in the parking lot. It's a ledge. It's incredibly difficult to cut because of the angle. So we've been through that, and we're working with people who know better than us to have kind of a long-term plan to make those corrections. That makes sense?
It does.
Any other questions or comments on building rentals? All right, moving along on to budget.
Okay, not much to report tonight. We do now have two firm dates to when we are presenting to the two towns. We will be presenting on February 4th to the Air Select Board and FinCom at 6 o'clock, and on February 10th to the Shirley Select Board and FinCom at 6 o'clock. No other dates have changed. Any questions?
No. Erica? All right.
I didn't hear that it cut out for just a second.
We are presenting to the AIR Select Board and FinCom on February 4th at 6, and on February 10th, we will be presenting to the Shirley Select Board and FinCom at 6.
Perfect, thank you. I will be supporting you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving along to the superintendent's report.
Okay. So we just really shared these budget updates. On Monday, February 10th, this is the only additional information. The fiscal year 26 budget presentation to the Shirley Select Board. Oh, excuse me, I already shared that. That is the only update for that. To go into the rollout of the cell phone policy that happened this Monday. I was at the high school for both days, the first days of implementation, and really, it went very smooth. The implementation of the new phone policy at the high school was very successful. The feedback indicates that most of the families and students have adjusted well. We did have 2 families on day 1 that had some concerns and did not want their child to comply with the policy. Mr. Christie and I met with those parents, one in person, one on the phone. We were able to listen to their concerns, ease their concerns, and both students are complying with the policy. There are absolutely no issues today. We went into most of the classrooms that Mr. Christie and I didn't go in. Either Mrs. Dr. Meyer or one of our acting assistant principals went in to check those. It was smooth. Not much of an issue. I'm not saying that every student was thrilled about it, but really less issues of having to call home and ask parents if students had phones or if they brought phones with them at the high school was really a non-issue. Middle school, it went well. There were more issues. We kind of thought there would be more issues at the middle school, only because not all kids have phones, and some kids do keep their phones in their backpack during the day. We did make an attempt on seven different occasions. We had sent out a inventory form we asked parents to fill out so that we knew what students would be coming in with devices and which students wouldn't. I sent it out 3 or 4 times. I know Mr. Ulrich sent it out 3 times. We only had 100 responses. So there are some concerns from parents. Students were asked in each class if they had a phone. Even if they were in math first period, they were asked if they had a phone. If they said no, we called home or we tried to make that call. They were asked again in the next class if it was English. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's going to happen for a couple of weeks until we have a master list of kids who we know don't have the technology or we know they're keeping it at home. And then it will happen occasionally. We do feel parents will probably have punishments where they take away a child's phone and they might not email us to let us know that. So we'll have, Charlie, who's been putting his phone in the pouch every day for the last 2 weeks. He's coming in one day on a Monday. He doesn't put it in because he lost it. We will call to verify that with the parent. They can certainly call us or email us and let us know that that happens so that it can save a phone call, but it's not going to be very clean. I mean, there are going to be phone calls home to parents to verify, and we have to make sure that this is implemented the way that we want. I can tell you that for parents who reached out to Mr. Ulrich or to myself directly, we were able to ease the concerns of everyone except for one parent that we talked to. I believe that there are some other concerns out there. We haven't heard directly from people. I would urge people, if you have questions or concerns, contact me, contact Principal Ulrich directly, and we can talk you through that. We'll listen to your concerns. There are some alternatives to ease the anxiety that both kids and parents are feeling. This really isn't as scary as I think some people may believe it is. There were some allegations that students were searched. That is not true. So we do have one more student to talk to because that student was up today, but No, from what we know right now, and we believe this will be true after we talk to that student also, at least from what we have for information, what had happened was we have one student who has been telling other students he almost got patted down. So students hear that, they share this with parents. Parents believe that we're patting down kids for phones. We are not. We are going to make sure that we know that staff knows this, but we are going to make sure again that staff knows that nobody should be patted down for their phone. We are not going to do that. But I do wish, and for the hundreds of people watching this right now, if you hear this, call us directly because we can clear this up in a matter of minutes if you call us. When we hear it from third parties, Principal Ulrich lost 2 hours of the day today investigating this. It didn't happen. So if you have a concern, pick up the phone, give me a call, give Mr. Ulrich a call. We can figure this out really quickly if it happened. I can tell you that if a student is patted down for a phone, that is an issue. They should absolutely not be. But from what we've investigated so far, this has not happened, and it will continue not to happen. I did talk a little bit about the calls to verify phone possession. We have to do it. I know many parents feel that when their child tells them they keep their phone in their backpack every day, they never take it out. Some kids do. And then there are lots of kids who will tell their parents that, and that phone's never in that backpack. That phone's in their pocket. That phone comes out at lunch. That phone comes out in the bathroom. That phone comes out in class. If we weren't dealing with cell phones being the distraction that it is from education on a daily basis, we would have advised school committee not to go with this policy. But cell phones are a big issue. So when your child is telling you that they're keeping their phone in their bag all day and never taking it out, call and ask us to verify that. We can very easily talk to the teachers and say, hey, have you ever had to talk to, I'm gonna use Charlie again, Charlie about having his phone out? And we can know that pretty quickly. Do some kids keep that phone in that bag all day? Absolutely. Does every student that goes home and tells their parent that that phone stays in their bag all day, keep them in the bag all day? Absolutely not. I would say, think back to when you were in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and what you would say to your parent to not be in trouble. And I would say your children are doing the same thing.
Don't know what you mean.
Well, you were part of that 10% that kept them in the bag, Mr. Durstein. But I can say that as of right now, at least as far as we know, there's really, in both schools, this one family who really does not want to comply with this. I have not been able to have a personal conversation with them yet. Mr. Ulrich did today. I will be making that phone call tomorrow to see what those concerns are, and we can try to minimize that. I can say that I talked before today, before implementation. I had many parents reach out. I had many conversations about their concerns. I had very productive conversations, and everyone that I spoke to, I was able to ease those concerns, and they had agreed to comply with the policy. So anyone having concerns, pick up the phone, give me a call, we can talk about it, and I think if you do that, that level of concern about this policy will go down. We have a lot of work to do with this still. We're still going to address individual concerns with families. I would like to do that one-on-one with them, and with teachers, right? So there needs to be some flexibility for teachers to accommodate classroom needs, and we have that in the policy where teachers can ask permission from administration to use the phones for educational purposes. But we do need to clarify that we need to be strict with enforcing this policy, because if we don't, we will be in the same position we were before winter break, where we had a policy, quite frankly, if we implemented it, probably would have worked much better than it was working, but it wasn't being implemented and a change needed to be made. So that's where we are. Overall, pretty smooth. Middle school made a lot more phone calls than the high school. High school, the students came in, they were on board, they handed them in. One teacher had is it Spinlet? Are you familiar with Spinlet? It's an online app where you can kind of put kids' names in. It's like a spinner, like Wheel of Fortune. He had every kid's name on the spinner, they would spin it, and they got to their name got picked by the ticker, they got to come up and pick the pouch or the number that they wanted to have on the pouch. Seems pretty simple, but the kids are pretty into it, made it pretty funny. So there's a master list, and I think many of the teachers, made the best of it and made it fun for the kids. So from what we've seen, pretty positive. But like I said, we will, parents that have concerns, reach out, happy to talk to you. And for that one parent who I know is concerned, I will be reaching out to them directly tomorrow. Any questions? It actually went much smoother than we thought it would. I thought it was going to be a lot more phone calls these first 2 days than it has been. Okay.
I do. I have one thing I think that I'd like to say, and I'm going to highlight myself as the school committee member who actually had concerns. I voiced my, concerns, in earlier meetings, and I want to highlight that there was a lot of intention that went into rolling out this plan. So kind of on a lessons learned, I think, for us is we have asked administration to, step up and engage, and they literally have stepped up and engaged consistently. We've been talking about this for months, initially on a high level, reviewing policies, providing information. So again, this circles back to engagement at this point. We can't make the horse drink the water. So I want to just highlight the fact that we're trying to be intentional, we're trying to be mindful and include everybody in policy and in procedure. And I really can't see any situation where parents did not have an opportunity to provide any information or any feedback or any concern prior to this policy, being created or implemented. So I want to make sure that that's clear, that at many points for many months, parents have been able to voice their concerns. So maybe this is a good plug to suggest to parents to verify the emails that they're providing the school to make sure that they're getting the information, and double checking. So that way you don't get your information secondhand, you're getting it directly from the school and you have a direct contact in case you have any questions. Because I'm pretty sure we answered quite a few, but that's it.
I'll just add anecdotally, and Adam, I share this with you. I have rarely gotten phone calls as a school committee member. I got many phone calls yesterday. And the majority were asking very legitimate questions like, but can't they just keep it in their lot, right? Like the questions that people who, again, don't read every email or heard something from their student and wanted to verify it. I think I shared the details of like, there's some concerns. And I think, like you said, the reality will be implementation of this policy will be what matters, right? Like we had a policy before that didn't let students use their phones. It wasn't enforced. And so I think at this point, making sure that we stay consistent, and we don't, anecdotally again, my daughter, who many of her 7th grade friends are not super thrilled about this, she reminded them several times that her dad wanted a stricter policy. So that's the alternative. But I'm hopeful that we can, again, if we keep with it and support the teachers in doing it, it will become, again, as simple as sharpening a pencil, going to the bathroom, other procedures that teachers spend plenty of time teaching students how to do at the beginning of the school year. This will be like that.
Michelle?
I just wanted to say, as the mother of a senior and his friend group, they didn't even care. It wasn't a big deal. Like, they plopped it in the little pouch and they didn't have it. And so I'm like, what? How? Like, because I was like, over the weekend, Monday's the day. So Monday, I'm like, how was it? I was like, Mom, it really wasn't a big deal. Like, it was. I
think the middle school was a little more dramatic.
That was going to be my observation. So I have a high schooler, and I wonder if it's kind of lessons learned. I don't know if we were so hypersensitive to the change more so for high schoolers than middle schoolers. My daughter's been badgering me for 5 months about, you can't let this happen, you're not gonna do this, I'm not gonna, and so I think we've been talking about it to the high school students for quite some time. She didn't say one thing so far. So I was waiting on eggshells for when she was gonna get home from school on Monday. She walked in, didn't say a thing, and she didn't say anything today. So I think the high schoolers were prepared. My middle schooler walked in and was like, what the heck is happening? I didn't, what's going on? They like took the cell phone. I don't know if we maybe didn't talk to the middle schoolers quite enough because we didn't think it was gonna be as disruptive because, well, I don't know. But
That's a possibility. There was an assembly for each grade level about the policy and what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, but they're in middle school. So more than, you know.
I was gonna say, it could
have been more.
my kids too, my daughter, Stuart, my boy is kind of like, what, I don't know, until it happens. So,
I mean, I think it's safe to say we absolutely could have communicated more to the middle school students than we did.
yeah.
And I don't know, my daughter's Apple Watch sits on my desk at work because she doesn't ever wear it. I see all of her texts come in all day long. I know that middle schoolers are active, and there's all 7th grade text chain. I know there's like 40 kids who are actively texting all day long. So again, the complaints that no one is using their phones, I think, are naive at best. So
I believe the middle schoolers.
you believe the middle? Yeah. Having worked in middle schools, I'm like.
I trust them. I trust them.
Awesome. All right.
So,
MLTS.
quick update on the multi-line telephone system compliance. Some confusion, I think, in the community that we're not in compliance. We absolutely are. We made a switch this summer of our phone system, and we moved to a Zoom phone system because of this. So, as part of the process, there's some necessary paperwork that needs to be filed with authorities. We're currently awaiting that paperwork to be filed so that we are on the list of being compliant, but we are compliant. So when 911 is called, and this is the main reason for this, when 911 is called, it gives the room location to 911. So if we called 911 from the library, 911 would know to come to the high school library. Not only that, my phone rings, Michelle's phone rings, Charlie's phone rings, I believe your phone rings also, right? Mm-hmm. And we can listen to the 911 call, which is
Weird.
It's a little strange, but it's great information for us to have because we can immediately go to the emergency. So it is a great system. The new Zoom phones have been, yeah, they're great. Every classroom now has a phone where they can make outside calls. So for instance, Laura White was not able to call a parent from the classroom during prep, before or after school. They would have to find a phone in a common area or the main office with no privacy. Now every teacher can call that. Now the downside is for some of them, I can actually call classrooms directly to talk to teachers. I really have only done that to Marion Simon, the union president, but she can also see that it's me calling and maybe not answer the call. But the new phones have been fantastic. So we are in compliance.
Great.
Sorry for that confusion. We're hoping that paperwork is filed quickly and we're on that list, but we are fully in compliance with that, and everyone's a little
Perfect.
safer because of it. Any questions?
No, that's great.
We have asked several companies to come in to give us a quote about cost of moving the Panther statue. So far, we have had one company came in. They gave us a range of $4,500 to $7,500, depending on the specific location of the statue.
Great.
Any questions? Okay.
Are you waiting on others as well, or?
We have Leominster Monument gave a price of just hoisting it. Oh, I didn't talk to you about this. I'm sorry. I talked to Bob. Leominster Monument gave us a price of hoisting it, but they can't place it. So the price of hoisting it was 15. So we would have to talk to this company that gave us the quote to see if we could, what would be cheaper, right? Having them do all of it, having Leominster Monument hoist it. We don't know yet. And there was one other company that was willing to come in and give a quote. And then we had a few that weren't interested in the job. So we are waiting for currently one more. I can't remember the name. The company that came in and gave us the quotes out of Lunenburg. Okay, we have any questions before I move on? Okay, we have a lot of new college acceptances. Anna Maria College, Bridgewater State University, Boston University, Coastal Carolina University, Elon College, Emmanuel College, Fairfield University, Hampton University, Hawaii Pacific University, High Point University, Howard University, Lemoyne College, Lewis University, Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Merrimack College, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, excuse me, Roger Williams University, Salve Regina University, Southern New Hampshire University, University of Alabama, University of Delaware, University of North Carolina Wilmington, University of Vermont, UMass Lowell, University of Rhode Island, University of Maine, Farmington. That's a pretty diverse and well spread out group of colleges. And that's all for the superintendent's report.
I was going to say, as someone who picked their college so that I could ski for 5 months of the year, I appreciate the Hawaii Pacific University. Hopefully they are a surfer. That sounds like a delightful choice.
I think they will be, if they're not.
Yeah, right in Honolulu. That's great.
Nobody's got to be accepted to Amherst anymore. We're just going to take the outer state money, I think. That's been our trend for a while.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
But this is a great list.
Yeah.
Really exciting. All right. Erica, I don't think, because we don't have anything in our packet, that we don't have anything to discuss for policy FF, but I want to check that I'm not overlooking anything.
Yes, so sorry guys. I had actually worked on the second read, but unfortunately I think it might have went to spam because I used my parent email instead of my school committee email. So I have no problem forwarding it to everybody right now so that you have that. That's my fault.
That's okay.
So I am sending that immediately, but it's a copy of the second read for you.
Okay, great. So if you can do that, and then maybe we can have the discussion, the second read, and any vote on the 22nd.
Okay.
Great. No chairperson's notes. No topics unanticipated from me. Any from the room or phone? All right. Ashley, announcements.
Thursday, January 9th will be a 90-minute early release, preschool through 12, professional development for teachers. Lunch will be served. Dismissal times are the high school 12:55, middle school 12:45, and Laura White Page Hilltop 1:45. Tuesday, January 14th, Air Shirley PTO meeting at 7 p.m. in the Laura White Library. Friday, January 17th is the Laura White Holiday Concert, 9:30 a.m. and then 1:30 p.m. at Laura White. Monday, January 20th is no school in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Wednesday, January 22nd, school committee meeting at 6:30 in the middle school library. And Wednesday, January 22nd is the CPAC meeting, 6:30 at Laura White Library. Friday, January 24th is a 90-minute early release, preschool through 12, the same times. Monday, January 27th, report cards will be issued for grades 9 through 12. And then Wednesday, January 29th is the Page Hilltop PTO fundraiser. It's the Harlem Wizards here at the high school gym. Doors open at 5:30. The game starts at 6:30. General admission tickets will be $12 for adults and $10 for students. There's also reserved and courtside seating available. And I will say that's a wonderful event, and we'll be going, as we always do.
All right. And thanks thankfully, the Laura A. White Holiday Concert was moved a month, so we had an extra month of recorder practice in the Ruprecht home, which is super exciting. I don't think we have a need for executive session, and so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion that we adjourn at 7:40 PM.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.